AI is the talk of every finance department. Yet, according to a recent survey, only 19% of finance departments have actually implemented it. So, why the disconnect? Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you why AI isn't going to revolutionize or change finance quite the way we've all been led to believe. But I'll also give you 3 fantastic ways that you can use AI today to streamline your workflow, automate your processes, and impress your boss. I'm Mike, and for over a decade, I've worked in finance at companies from the Fortune 100 all the way to small startups. I was an early adopter of what we now call AI finance tech back in 2018, before we were even calling it AI. One of my first use cases was with a natural language processing program, and that program we were promised could look at our financial results in a dashboard and write commentary about that variance. What we found was far less than what we were sold and led to believe. It was the most basic of commentary, essentially saying the variance number and the account and time period involved. And to be honest, AI hasn't come a lot further than that since then, and I want to take you through the reasons why, but also share with you some of the things I've learned about the great ways to use it. Make sure to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to share a special bonus with you that you do not want to miss. It will absolutely accelerate your career and your use of AI in finance. And if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you never miss out on our weekly finance hacks and insider tips. I post a new video every Monday, and trust me, you do not want to miss what I've got coming up over the next few weeks. All right, with that, let's get into it. We've all been sold the idea that AI will automate everything from mundane tasks to strategic planning. But the reality? Well, it's a bit more AI as a sidekick, not AI as the hero. Sure, it's great at crunching numbers faster than a caffeinated accountant, but not replacing the human touch in decision making just yet, or potentially ever. So when we say AI, what are we talking about? Well, it's not actually artificial intelligence, the way you'd think about HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey, or the things we've seen in sci-fi, the Doctor from Star Trek, whatever you have there. It's a combination of 2 technologies by and large. The first one is machine learning, and the second is natural language processing. Machine learning is the ability of a computer to learn and improve from experiences without being explicitly programmed. Think of this as TikTok. TikTok is a great example of machine learning. It learns what you like and shows you more of it. That's machine learning. Natural language processing is the ability of a computer to understand, interpret, and generate human language. Think of this as Alexa or Siri, but for finance lingo instead of weather updates and Google searches. But here's where things get tricky. Machine learning relies on historical data to make predictions about the future. And if that data is biased or incomplete, so will AI's predictions. It also can't handle exceptions or outliers well because it's focused on pattern recognition. So when there's a sudden market change, a change to your business, an unexpected event, AI can't adapt until it has new data and new patterns to recognize. So here's where AI is really in finance today. 50% of AI use cases are in fraud detection and compliance, because this is an area where you can quickly look at patterns, look for outliers, see what doesn't follow the trend, and flag it. And that is a great use for AI, which is why that's mainly where adoption is. Skilled personnel and data management repeatedly come up as the biggest challenges to AI adoption. As I mentioned, AI is based on predictions, statistical analysis, and patterns. So when the data fed in is not clean enough, when the data fed in is not accurate enough, or it's not the same master data across systems, you're going to have issues. And from my recent survey, only 30% of finance professionals had any exposure to AI, and only half of those, or 15% overall, have worked with it enough to call themselves proficient. And that is just not enough to be rolling these tools out at scale. There's also some limitations of what AI can't do. AI cannot create something new. It can only look at patterns and predict what you expect to happen. It can't understand context. It can't understand that Bob from accounting always posts invoices late, so you need to run an accrual for that. It can't understand if one of your salespeople is going to give an agreement that's outside the normal terms and conditions. It's not going to look at new business opportunities and be able to evaluate them because it doesn't have data. To that point, AI can't make decisions. Only people can make decisions. AI can just look at patterns. It could certainly make recommendations based on patterns, but it can't actually decide. And lastly, it can't inspire and it can't influence. As we'll talk about, it can give you suggestions for ways that people communicate that can inspire or can influence, but because AI can't have an original thought, can't make decisions, and can't understand context, it cannot inspire people or influence them to take action. So let's talk about some ways that AI can be very helpful in finance. The first one, as I mentioned, is fraud detection. AI can quickly analyze data and identify suspicious patterns. This will help you prevent fraud and financial crimes both within the company and with your customers. It's good for investment management. It can process a lot of data. It can help with the investment decisions by identifying trends and predicting market movements. But it could never predict something like COVID or investor exuberance. It can only look at the data that's there and make trend-based assumptions. Customer service. Chatbots powered by AI are becoming increasingly popular. It gives customers 24/7 ability to have a back and forth communication. And because so many customer issues are similar, AI can easily be trained on how the company wants those responded to. But again, it can't handle outliers. It can't handle exceptions. Similar to fraud, there's compliance monitoring. It can continuously monitor transactions coming in and out of your ledgers or any other systems, and it can flag suspicious activity, letting your teams focus their efforts on what we already know may be suspicious. And then it can do some process automation, using things like Python or R. Many finance processes do have repetitive tasks. These can be automated, increasing efficiency and reducing human error. Something that I did at the startup I was working at was I actually rolled out an early form of AI to review expense reports as they came in and compare them for compliance. It entirely automated our expense report reviews, and it would just send me the couple of transactions that it flagged as a challenge. That's an example of AI, even though we didn't really call it AI at the time. So all of these use cases are great, but these are not something that you can just roll out in your own job without a lot of support from your company, a budget, tech teams, technology, tools, a lot of things that you may not have sitting at your desk right now. So what I want to do is give you 3 different use cases for AI that you can put to work today. These are things that probably almost no one on your team is doing. They'll save you time, they'll impress your boss, and they will make you look like an absolute rock star. So here's the 3 ways that you can use AI today, and I'm going to walk through live examples of each one. The first one, you can use AI to write Python and VBA scripts to automate your work. This is a great way to get started with AI, and honestly, because coding is so similar and it's so process-based, I've had a lot of success with this. 2, you can use AI chatbots like ChatGPT to communicate financial information in the most influential way possible. Now, you might be saying, well, Mike, you just said AI can't influence. That's right. You are doing the influencing. You're asking AI for how people write influential communication, for how people communicate influentially, because AI has so much data, it knows what works best and it sees who's most successful, but you are still doing the influencing. And then number 3, we're going to use the new Copilot integration with Microsoft Excel to automatically create charts and graphs with barely lifting a finger. So let's get started with number 1, which is Python and VBA scripts using ChatGPT. So open on the screen, I have the Finance Assistant by F9 Finance. This is a GPT that I built to essentially act as a pocket financial analyst. If you have a ChatGPT premium subscription, this is totally free. Feel free to look it up. Just search F9 Finance ChatGPT. I'll also put a link down in the description. Again, I'm not charging a dime for this. You just have to have a premium ChatGPT subscription to use the custom GPTs. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask the assistant to help us write some code that we could pop into Excel and automate a workflow. So let's create an ideal data set. So let's say act as a coding expert. I have a data set sitting in A1 to G100. I want to remove duplicates, turn the data into a pivot table, and turn the data into a bar chart. Write a VBA macro that can accomplish this. We'll hit enter, and we'll see what it comes back with. And there you go. So now you have VBA code. All you have to do is literally copy and paste this into the developer tab in Excel, and you're good to go. You can do this with Python, VBA, HTML, CSS. I've tried it with a lot of different languages. I've had really great success. And if it doesn't work quite right the first time, you can come back, ask it to rewrite it. It will suggest some new code, and you can get rolling. A super great use, automation without having to do the manual coding work. All right, now we're back to the F9 Finance Assistant. I have a new window open, and we're gonna ask ChatGPT to help us communicate some information to our partners. So we'll say, act as an expert copywriter. I need to communicate bad news to my business partners. I work in finance and they work in operations. I need to cut their budget by 5%. What is the best way to communicate this, get their buy-in, and look for solutions? I am communicating via email. And we'll hit enter and see what it comes back with for us. Okay, so as it's writing, the subject is budget adjustment and collaborative solutions. You'll, again, want to tweak this into your own language because that's a little bit buzzwordy, but the gist is there. I hope this message finds you well. I want to start by expressing my appreciation for the incredible work you've been doing. You've been instrumental in driving our business forward, and I value the strong partnership we've built. Again, put it in your own voice, but the gist is there. Start off positive and thank them. As you know, we're constantly evaluating our financial strategies to ensure success and sustainability. We've reviewed and identified we need to make some strategic adjustments, and we'll need to implement a 5% reduction in the budget. I know this isn't ideal given your hard work, but by working together, I think we can find ways to adjust without compromising quality or efficiency. This is actually really good. I tend to talk a little fancy, and I don't really think I would have to change a lot of this. I'd make the subject line certainly more human, but this is a great way to communicate it, and it's reminding you to start positively, then directly give the bad news, and then talk about how you're going to figure this out together and maybe toss in a few solutions. So this is a great way to improve your client communication, to communicate bad information, good information, whatever you want to do in an influential way, because so much data has been fed into these models that it knows tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of ways that people have tried to influence others. All right, and now we're going to move on to the new Copilot integration within Microsoft Excel. So I've got a data set up. There's a little report that I've built where I'm analyzing some sales data across a bunch of different stores for a retail chain. Now, what I want to do is I want to ask Copilot to help me out with this a little bit. So let's come over to the sales data. Okay, so here's all of our sales data, and we're going to open up Copilot with this button. Now, you do need to have a Copilot subscription. There's a free 30-day trial right now. That's what I'm using for this. The price is $20 a month, exactly the same as ChatGPT, exactly the same as Claude. The benefit here, there is the chatbot online, just like ChatGPT and Claude, but the benefit here is that it integrates with Outlook, Teams, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, what have you. I'm still learning a lot about this, trying out some of the new features. So far, it has the limitations that AI has, but overall it's pretty good. Okay, so to use Copilot, you'll want your data to be formatted as a table. And that doesn't mean that it is just literally in a table shape in Excel. You'll want to turn it into a table, and that will help Copilot read it. You'll notice in the bottom, I have my data set as a table, and it's saying, what do you want me to do with this data? And it's referencing the data of the table. So let's come up here. Let's see, show data insights. Is there anything interesting that Copilot can tell us about this data? So here's what Copilot gave us for the data insights. It gave us a pivot table. It's looking at all of the different cities from the data set by year. That's actually pretty good. That's actually probably how I would have built this initially, to just look at how all of our different cities were performing across it. So that's great. There's all kinds of other things that you can do in here. let's come and kind of open up our Copilot window. So there's 4 main types of things you can use Copilot for in Excel today, more to come in the future. The first is you can create formula columns or add things to your data set. The second is you can ask it to understand or show data insights. This will usually generate some kind of a pivot table or a chart. You can ask it to edit. So do you want to add in conditional formatting? Do you want to bold things? And then you can also just ask Copilot a question about different ways to use Excel. So some basics, but some things that could kind of get you moving in here. Again, more functionality to come in the future, but this is a great way to use AI tools today to start showing off your skills and to start learning. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, I've got a great bonus for you. I'm going to share with you a free copy of my 25 ways to use AI in finance and accounting guide. This will give you 25 different actionable ways that you can start putting AI to use today. You'll find a link down in the first pinned comment. In addition to sending you the guide, I'll also send you my weekly newsletter, Finance Unfiltered, with more hacks and finance tips just like this. If you take away just one thing from this video, I don't want it to be to not learn AI. There's a lot of limitations to AI, and it's not going to change the field the way we think it is, but I highly recommend you learn these tools. AI isn't going to replace a lot of finance professionals, but what it will do is it will help us automate routine work so we can spend more time adding value. The way I look at AI is that AI will prevent our finance teams and our finance needs from growing and from resources expanding as our companies and our world and operations get more complex, but it will allow us to focus our time on the fun stuff, the strategy, the business development, the client support, the partnering, and it'll automate a lot of that routine work like report generation and initial passive forecasting that we don't really all want to spend all of our time doing anyways. So what I would say is start small, keep learning new AI tools like some of the things I've shown you here, and you can stay ahead of the game, impress your boss, and become the leader for your team and company of AI. If you found these tips helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments which of these AI strategies you're most excited to try out. I read every single comment. Don't forget to hit that notification bell for more unfiltered finance strategies coming your way every Monday. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, this is Mike signing off from F9 Finance. Cheers.